Warning: God's Fall, the Book of One, contains violence, explicit sex, nudity, inappropriate use of church property, portrayals of beings divine and demonic bearing little or no resemblance to established religion or mythology, trespassing, bad language, sacrilege, blasphemy, attempted murder, arguable murder, divinely mandated attempted murder, justifiable murder, sexual promiscuity, kidnapping, attempted rape, which is never comedy, theft, assault and battery, panties, even more explicit sexuality, polyamory, abuse of authority, corruption of would-be popes, abuse of imps, uncomfortable discussions with exes, disturbances of the peace, disorderly conduct, mayhem, dismemberment, a completely different trinity, more bad language, corruption of a minor, debauchery, gratuitous nudity, improper disposal of bodily fluids, blatant disregard for authority, and shagging. If any of this disturbs you, you should probably put the book down. Now. Prologue. New York City, today. No! Damn it, Kalili, we don't have to answer any of these stupid fucking requests! I tried not to sigh. When Faith was in one of her moods, there was no persuading her. Still, in over a millennium, I hadn't given up trying, and I wasn't going to stop now. Sweetheart, I started in my most dulcet tones. No, Cal, I know what you're trying to do and why, and I'll even agree that maybe, just maybe, there's a point to Lilith's chief of staff asking for a formal record of our first weeks together. She waved a piece of parchment at me. Yes, honest-to-goodness parchment. Some things never changed. But now? She crossed her arms over her chest. Why now? Don't you find it a little suspicious? No, not really, not coming from her, I answered. If it were Lucifer, father of lies, and he earned the title. But he didn't, she did. Besides, it's been over 1,000 years. If not now, when? And I don't know about you, but I could use something new to do. I swept my arm around the penthouse. Evidence of our recent occupations littered every surface. Being immortal, we'd had plenty enough time to find what we liked, practice it, master it, and get bored. We were recycling hobbies now. It was that or take an active role in the administration of the cosmos, and neither of us were overly interested. Don't get me started on the paperwork involved. All of which meant we had plenty of time on our hands. I extended an arm. Give it to me. She handed it over without a protest. I read it aloud. Faith and Kalili. I stopped. Why is your name first? The laugh I was gifted with was typical of Faith. Light, airy, full of good humor, and one of my favorite things about her. No idea, love. Keep reading. Faith and Kalili, you are hereby requested to provide to this office a complete account of the events of blah, blah, blah. I looked up. Did you read the P.S.? Of course I did. I resumed reading. P.S. You wouldn't believe the wild stories that go around about you two. I'd love to straighten them out with the facts. Can you clear it up for me? A. Now I shrugged. Seems like a pretty good reason to me. If we're going to be legends, we may as well be accurate legends. Faith pursed her lips and exhaled. Fine, but you're doing it. Why me? I protested. Faith walked to me and put her arms over my shoulders. My arms went about her middle, almost of their own volition. First, because you're so much better at bureaucratic bullshit than I am. She leaned in and kissed my neck, pulling ever so gently with her teeth. Second, because you remember it better than I do. I was pretty dazed for most of that first couple of weeks. You know, wide-eyed and petrified. Faith stretched so her lips brushed my earlobe and I shivered. Third, you still owe me. I pulled back a few inches. For what? You want a list or do you trust me? Damn, she had me there. I trust you, Mayari Mabikia. As always, when I used the celestial phrase for soulmate, our Tekats connected, and we were one. It was a fraction of a second, but it was eternity. I know. Her voice was whisper soft. Okay, fine, I'll get started on it, but I'm writing it my way. All the things we took for granted, I'm going to explain. The shit we learned on the way, that too. Whatever I write, it's going to sound like I talk now, and it's going to be in English, not Latin. I can't even remember all the flourishes and flowery shit I had to use when talking to nobles. I tried to pull away, but Faith's arms locked behind my neck. Not so fast, Kalili. I saw those wicked, wicked thoughts. She grinned, and I grinned back. And? I asked. And I have some improvements on them. Fuck it. Paperwork could wait. Faith came first. Well, not always. But that's another part of the story. First Kalili 1-1. Rome, 952 AD. I was bored. Harder, Octavianus, I said, and if my voice didn't carry the expected passion, well, my teenage lover didn't notice. That's right. Oh, yes! I suppressed a yawn, then let it out anyway. Not like he's going to see. Octavianus was behind me, thrusting for all he was worth, my skirt tossed onto my back. I hope he finishes soon. My mind wandered. Demons weren't supposed to be bored. At least, Below would have me believe that. I wasn't entirely sure. The problem? Immortality. Demons are eternal, unless someone kills us. Tough to do, yes, but possible. Too many people equate immortal with invulnerable, but that's not accurate. The point is, unless something stops us, we keep going. The same is true for angels, in case you were wondering. It makes sense. We come from the same stock, created simultaneously, and set loose in the universe. Don't believe the bullshit about demons being angels that fell. The original immortals, greater demons like me, Lucifer created us to oppose the head office. All part of the fucked up, ineffable plan. It wasn't particularly relevant at that moment, except it made living through each day Earthside tedious in the extreme. Having an unfamiliar task would have helped, but demons are notorious for having two kinds of luck: bad and none. I was still on the fence which type this assignment was. My mission was to seduce one of a half-dozen prospective popes. Been there, done that. This century, even. Sway him from his religious beliefs into a life of sin, then use your powers to shorten his life before he can resume a path which will lead him to chastity, blah, blah, blah. What made this one worse was that Below hadn't done their research. As usual. Octavianus, son of Alberic II of Spoleto, was anything but chaste when I entered his life. So much for swaying him, but I was stuck with the task. Frankly, I didn't see the point. A corrupt pope or cardinal would be immeasurably more valuable to Below than one who failed to be selected and died. What did I know? He grunted at an especially hard thrust, and for a split second I hoped he was done. He resumed his pounding, dashing my hopes. If I was human, I'd be sore in the morning. I wriggled, hoping the additional stimulation would speed the process. A minute later, he was still going strong. Time for me to play dirty. "Don't stop, Van," I moaned. "Right there! Don't stop! Don't stop!" 2 thrusts later, Octavianus let out an impassioned groan and came. Finally. Oh, lover, that was so good. I didn't know if he heard me and didn't care. He pulled out of me and slapped my ass. "You're a good fuck, Dora." Right. My name for this assignment? I was Theodora, not Kalili, proving someone below had a really crappy sense of humor. Beloved of God, indeed. And what was wrong with Kalili? Perfectly neutral name, if unusual in Rome. "You are a magnificent lover, Octavianus." I stood, allowing the fabric to fall over my legs. I'd clean up when I returned to my chambers. At least you don't take much of my time. He waved a hand in dismissal, and I fled. First stop, bath. After that, I didn't have a clue, which brought me full circle. I was bored. Don't get me wrong, boredom beat overwhelm all to hell, and I didn't lack for work. Rome was a cesspit of debauchery, and the closer you got to the seats of power, the worse the stench. Which was good for me and my companions. There were dozens of demons, succubi, and incubi in Rome this spring. Agabitus II was ill again, and the jockeying for his successor had resumed, which meant corruption season was in full swing. But it was deathly dull, especially for a demon who had been around since the beginning of so-called civilization. "Oh, bless it all," I cursed. "Problems, Khalili?" came a greasy voice behind me. He thought he was oh so sneaky, but I had picked up on his aura and didn't show my surprise when he spoke. "No, Coronatus." Coronatus pouted. He was an imp. Specifically, he was my imp. Think of him as a demonic secretary, and you wouldn't be far off. As the senior demon on this assignment, he was tasked with keeping my appointments and handling schedules. Did you know hell invented paperwork? Original and triplicate was one of their proudest moments, and imps were masters of minutia. Short version, he was a pain in my ass. Like other immortals, Kor could make himself invisible. Unlike demons and angels, he couldn't make himself insubstantial. So while I could walk through walls if I wanted, he had to find doors. I'm not saying I ever took advantage of this. Finished so soon? Did he commit to marrying you? That was my plan, such as it was. Get Van to marry me, since Below's scanty reports suggested he was most likely to be the successor. He was already corrupt, but a married cardinal would be challenged to become pope. I'd only been working this angle for a few weeks, far too little time for any results, and Coronatus knew it. He was asking me just to be a prick. Fine. I could be a prick too, even without shapeshifting. I passed through the door without him and smirked until he caught up. No, he fucked me and I left. He was already thinking about lunch and the serving boy. Not exactly the right time to ask. Besides, with him dripping down my leg, I didn't think it was romantic enough. Demons and angels are touch telepaths. When we are in contact with a human or another immortal of equal or lower status, we can read their mind. It made my job easier, as it did for the succubi. But ew. The things I saw in human minds could curdle the stomach of even the most experienced demon. Do you have an estimated date, Khalili? I'll give him credit. He was persistent. No, I don't, and you can tell Below to stop asking me. I was feeling the pressure from Below. According to my orders, this was supposed to be a straightforward job. Again, they didn't do their research. If they had, they would have known that the potential of a papacy was enough of a lure to keep most mortals from taking a permanent entanglement, no matter how tempting. I had an outstanding track record, but I wasn't infallible. I'll pass it along. Kor made a notation on the slate tablet. Did you know there's a new angel in town? I'd heard, I said. Angels came and went like cockroaches. I paid most of them as little attention. And she's assigned to watch you. I yawned. Entirely staged. There was always an angel watching me. No, it wasn't ego, or not entirely. I was a very senior demon. Sure, there were older demons and higher-ranking ones, but I'd been on Earth continuously for 6 millennia, and had been there and done that. It was a rare assignment that I didn't have one angel or another looking over my shoulder and trying to screw with me. I would be more surprised if I didn't have an angel I had to dodge. So, new angel? So what? I smirked, seeing another wall ahead I could phase through to piss him off. 3 more steps, 2, and she's got permission to kill you. My head snapped to the side and I walked into the wall. Fuck! Ow! What did you say? I rubbed my injured shoulder. My source says she's ordered to kill you. This was unusual. Hugely so. There was an unwritten détente between the two sides. Demons didn't kill angels, and angels didn't kill demons. Inconvenience? Absolutely. Interfere? Definitely. Injure? Sure, if we thought we could get away with it. But kill? No. We were immortal, but not invulnerable. A human could kill our bodies if they got lucky. Poison didn't work on us, neither did drowning, nor smothering, or at least it never had before. Enough damage and we'd die, like a beheading, or multiple stab wounds, shit like that. Unfortunately for them, that was little more than an irritating bunch of paperwork. We'd come back eventually, and get our revenge. Demons couldn't kill other demons, not permanently. I didn't know if angels could kill angels. I'd never cared enough to ask. Only a demon could kill an angel forever, and vice versa. The last demon killed by an angel was Guard, just over 2 centuries earlier. In fairness to the angel, it was totally justified. Guard went rogue, chopping wings off angels whenever he could. Wings we didn't touch. Wings didn't grow back or heal. And while it would be a major inconvenience for any immortal, it was awfully close to violating the détente. The bosses below worried that he'd escalate the celestial war all on his own. His archdemon had tried to stop him to no avail, and so below quietly let it be known Guard was fair game, no longer protected. He was the only one this millennium. Why? When? Core shrugged. Don't know. Do you want me to find out? I smacked his shoulder. Yes, what a stupid fucking question. He smirked at me. What's in it for me? I didn't have time for this. If an angel was searching for me, I needed information now, not later. Besides your continued existence? You can't kill me. Which wasn't quite true, I could, but Below would issue him a new body and send him back to pester me. Then there was the paperwork, and probably a reprimand to go with it. To top it off, he'd be even more annoying when he returned. This I knew from hard-earned experience. A weekend off. A week. 3 days. 4. Deal. I cursed myself inwardly. I shouldn't have negotiated downward, but it was a habit. A week free of him? Bliss. After I get the information. Agreed. He stopped, forcing me to stop with him. Sign. You don't trust me? I was already reaching for the contract. An imp trusting a demon? Not likely. He snatched it back as soon as I'd made my mark, and turned to walk away. Hey! What? Who is it? Do we know her? He shook his greasy black hair at me. No, at least I don't know her. Does she have a name? Faith. Core walked off. I wasn't getting any more from him today. Faith.